Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it is just Marco here once again, and I am here today to do a very special little video. This was something that I'm in the mood to do it, so even though tomorrow I'm going to be doing two other videos, I just feel like I want to get this done because I'm really in the mood to just, get it all out there. What are the top 8 things that I want to see in Scream 8? Or the top 8 pieces of advice that I would give to the people making Scream 8 to make sure that it's not a repeat of Scream 5 or 6, and then maybe some of 7. But overall, I didn't hate 7 as much as a lot of people did. And I personally felt like there was a lot of stuff in there that I liked. In fact, I'm very excited about rewatching it tomorrow with Safi. I'm very, very excited. And to be honest, I never really got that feeling with 4, 5, or 6. As a kid, I always would rewatch Scream 1, 2, or 3 over and over and over again. And even when I rewatched 1 and 2 recently, I still need to watch all the others again because I didn't do that in time. But even when I watched those recently, I was like, yeah, I'd love to watch these again. Just don't really know when I want to because I have other things to do. But yeah, so these are the top 8 things that I would be really happy to see in Scream 8 in some way, shape, or form. Number 8 would be Ghostface's POV. Now, in the original Scream, that movie paid a lot of tribute to Michael Myers. It paid a lot of tribute to Halloween. And I not only think it would be fun to see Ghostface's POV, to see through the mask in a sequence, but I would like to see some kind of a behind the mask thing. I would like to see some of the story in the POV of whoever is the killer. Instead of having, this big mystery where oh, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Oh, it's that person. I would like to see kind of like a switcheroo. I'd like to see the other side of that where we know exactly who it is. And maybe it won't work. Maybe that's just a fun idea that might fail in execution. And it also clashes with another another thing that I want to see later on in the list. But nonetheless, I just think it would be interesting. Maybe if they did a flashback or something. Maybe if they kept a certain character alive. And by the way, this is all spoilers for Scream 7. Obviously. So if you haven't seen Scream 7, then don't watch this video. But they could do flashbacks to just see, that would be so cool and so interesting instead of just, because I think one of the big issues that people have is you don't really know who the killer is, and then they get a 5-minute monologue and then they get killed. And so let's see some of this, let's see the planning. Let's see, maybe you could see, the ghost faces, fighting with each other. Oh, I want to kill that person. No, I want to kill that person. Who do I get to kill? Can I use, a fun weapon? Can I use a fire extinguisher? Can I use a meat cleaver? Something really fun. Something really fun and funny, and it would be creepy as hell to see that type of thing. And I could just imagine all the things that they could do with that just to get to see these characters a little bit longer and to see their perspective of being the killers. So number 7 would be better characters. That is not a troll. I am being 100% real. I would like to see better main characters. I think one of the big issues with the past, I don't know how many Scream movies because I still need to watch 4 again, and I will try to rewatch 5 and 6, but there has been a big issue with having these really boring main characters and these really bland main characters. In Scream 7, honestly, I didn't hate the characters. I thought that, they had potential. Like, I really liked the idea of that guy that they said was creepy, but then he was also like a big true crime fan. I thought that that was interesting. They should have played with that a lot more. Like, it would have been fun to just have him referencing all these different, like, true crimes, maybe. I mean, I don't think they've ever really done a lot of the true crime. I know they kind of did it in 6, but just kind of satirizing that. But I think that he could have done that easily. But I just think a lot of the teenagers in 7, they were just really boring. And they really didn't have much to them. And then the killers, very, very boring. And so I hope that the characters in the next one, like, I hope that they get something. Because, Scream 2, I watched the Siskel and Ebert review, and they made a great point about Scream 2, which is that movie had a really big cast, but the balancing was actually done very well, of having like all these different characters and having them be very unique and interesting and have something to them. Whereas in these later Scream movies, it feels like, okay, they're the victims, and then you have the final girl, and then you have the other girl that'll survive, and then you have that guy or girl that might survive. But it's a lot less interesting. It's a lot more superficial. Number 6 is a Hitchcock sequence like the cop car one in Scream 2. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Scream 2 really stood out, or really stands out from the series, because, Alfred Hitchcock, he was great at doing one thing in particular, which was suspense, it means that, you tell the audience something that the characters don't know, and it makes everything a lot more interesting. And, in particular in Scream 2, when they have to get out of the cop car, that whole sequence is just straight up out of a Hitchcock movie. That was so fucking good. And I've seen that movie like a million times, and I still thought it was intense. I still thought it was effective. We could just have one sequence like that. They kind of had that in Scream 7. A little bit with the sequence in the wall, where they're maneuvering through the wall and he's stabbing through the wall. That sequence was kind of Hitchcockian, but just take it a little further, make it a little more intense, make it a little bit more suspenseful, make it like Hitchcock. Just one sequence could just stand out, and you could say, yeah, we still got it, hopefully. And the number 5 is haunting themes and sexuality themes like the original one. This is something that I have mentioned in almost every single Scream video that I've done, is that in the original film, it was as much about Sydney being haunted by her mom's death as it was about people getting killed by a killer. And that is an element that has not been in any other Scream movie, and that is the reason why there's not a Scream movie that's better than the first one, because they're not being true to the essence of the original movie. And I think, well, here you go. You got some characters that you can use to have some kind of a haunting element, and to bring back those haunting themes, those ghost, supernatural types of themes. Not literally, not like in Scream 3, but just have this kind of a haunting feeling, because it makes the story feel a lot more real. It makes the kills feel a lot more like weightier, like there's bigger stakes, and it just makes things feel like, better, just in terms, just superior. And then the sexuality thing, Sexuality doesn't have to be in every single movie out there, but in the original Scream movie and in a lot of Wes Craven's movies, he always had sexuality is like a huge element to his stories and his films. That was a big part of his filmmaking. I mean, just look at Last House on the Left, and then come back and write the comment you were going to write, because and so I think that they need to have that in the next Scream movie. I think that's a huge thing because and they talked about this in Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. They talked about how there's like sexual symbolism in horror movies. And, you go back to the original Scream movie, there is like a sexual threat the entire movie that is kind of, symbolic through the kills. And I think that could be really scary, really effective, especially if you brought back Stu and he's stalking teenagers. I mean, that could be really scary. I mean, that could be honestly more terrifying than Halloween or Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. That could be a whole new level of scary. If you brought back that original Wes Craven flavor, you're going to have something that people say that is the best one, or that's the second best one. And that should be the goal. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to, if you don't want to add those themes though, like you don't have to. But if you were smart, you would. You would. So my voice broke. I was like, you would. Number 4 is a new Randy type of character who is in the whole movie. So I think that a big issue, and this also ties into my number 2, a big issue with the Scream movies has been a lack of references to other horror movies. Like, I want to see... The whole point of the first Scream movie was to pay tribute to horror. To pay tribute... I mean, they had a reference in Scream 1 to I Spit on Your Grave and The Town That Dreaded Sundown. And, like, they had all these references. And there was none of that in Scream 7, basically, except maybe it was referencing, like, their own movies, like other Scream movies. And so... I would really love to see, like, callbacks and references to, like, other horror movies. And I would like there to be a new Randy, because that is another big issue with the series for me, is the fact that they killed Randy. Randy's character is representative of the audience. There should be a character in there who is like a film fan. Who talks about film. I mean, I would love to see a new Randy. Maybe even, like, just rant. I mean, I know that they had the awful female Randy in Scream 5 and 6, and she kind of did some really bad and cringeworthy speeches. But I would love to see, like, a new Randy just, like, rant and rave about how many stab movies have there been. Like, I would just love to see, like, maybe what you could do, too, is instead of having, like, a younger Randy who's, like, a teenager, you could have, like, an older Randy. Like, a jaded, like, middle-aged Randy. Like, what if this was Randy now? What would Randy be like now? And just have him be, like, really jaded and miserable. He's just like, horror movies suck nowadays. That was the death of horror. The new Stab was the death of horror. And, horror movies need to come back. They need to, like, you could have that. That would be so much fun. And it would bring back, I think, the fun element of the franchise that's been kind of gone from the movies. They've taken themselves a little bit too seriously, and then at the same time they'll try to do this goofy stuff, like with the neighbor thing with the other Marco who says, I used to work in Google with AI. Like that had to have been written as like a joke. Like, oh yeah, this line is totally just retarded. But like, that's an issue though, is that there's conflicting tones. And the original Scream movie had a perfect balance where it was serious, but then at the same time there were jokes, there were callbacks to other horror movies, and that's what this one needs to do. This next one. Number 3 would be more of a good mystery. So I think that one of the things that Scream 7 kind of dropped the ball on was having a mystery about whether or not Stu was alive. I thought it was actually a pretty cool idea how, they killed a Ghostface already. And then now what? Let's figure out, like, who was this guy? Are there any other ghost faces around? Are there going to be other killings? Why did this guy do this? They could have really, really had a good mystery in Scream 7, and they failed miserably. I mean, I did like Scream 7, but in terms of the script, they failed that. They failed the idea because it was a very dumbed down mystery, and it was a very poorly written mystery. I think that the mystery element should have been, instead of focusing on like, okay, we can have these cool kills, and we can have this chase sequence and a monologue from the killer about, doing Pilates and all that kind of crap. Focus on the mystery element. Because the idea, the potential for a good mystery was there. And so if you really focus on a good mystery in the next one, I think it would be really good. Like Scream 2. Scream 2 had a great mystery. I didn't like the killers, but the mystery was great. So yeah. Number 2, I already talked about it, but just tributes, references to other horror movies and jokes, because that was a surprising thing about Scream 7 was there was like a lack of jokes about, other horror movies. Like, I would have expected there to be some here and there at least. They had a Wuthering Heights reference. I thought that was like the most bizarre thing ever. Like, why are we talking about Wuthering Heights in a Scream movie? That's bizarre. That is so bizarre. I mean, that might be the worst reference in a Scream movie in history. And not even the movie. Like, you could have said, oh, well, it's referencing the new movie. No, it was the book. Referencing the Wuthering Heights book. I mean, that was stupid. That was so bad. Instead of doing that, reference things that actually relate to the story, which would be other horror movies. The Substance. You could make a joke about Gale Weathers. I mean, she looks like an alien. You could have a character, joking that she needs to get on the substance or something. Like, I mean, come on. I mean, there's just jokes everywhere. The guys who do the scary movies, they will find those jokes and they will do them themselves if you do not take advantage and do it. And that's what the Scream movies are supposed to do, too. Number 1, and this is kind of controversial, I was originally very, very strongly against bringing back Stu. Because in the first film, it's very clear that she drops the TV on his head and kills him. I mean, that's just reality. I mean, but it's a different world now. It's a different situation because we had Scream 4, which, from what I remember, it sucked really, really badly. I hated it as a kid. I still need to rewatch it. Scream 5 sucked, and Scream 6 sucked as well. And then Scream 7 it was kind of okay, and I am looking forward to watching it again, but it just kind of... I just look back at Scream 7 and go, you know what, like, you guys missed, like, the most easy home run of all time. All you had to do was bring back Stu. And you know what else that you could have done that would have been great and very clever? There has never been a Ghostface that has survived a movie. You could have had Stu show up and then he gets to survive for another one. And I mean, it already would have been interesting because he survived to get to this one. I think that would have been super, super great. You can't ignore the fans in terms of everything. Like, obviously, I mean, I saw there were some strange suggestions. Like, someone said maybe Stu and Tatum should be alive and they should be killing people together. That's the most retarded shit I've ever heard. But in terms of Stu himself, Stu should be brought back to life. Clearly, or else you could do something radically different that I think would actually work as well, which would be, you guys remember the Saw movies, how Jigsaw would, force other people to do, stuff for him, like the Zed guy in the first Saw. You could have the killers find a Stu look-alike and have him be like a completely normal guy that these killers force into, working with them to do whatever, to kill people. And then maybe even over the course of the movie, he goes crazy and he becomes that killer by the end. It wouldn't be the same Stu. It would be something different. But if you were really anal about, like, okay, I mean, obviously, in reality, Stu did die in the first Scream. But if you were being really, really anal, you could do that. You could take that cop out of, like, oh, this is a lookalike. This is William Peterson. This is William's Peter. I don't know. But, like, you could do that. You could do something clever like that. But I just think overall, Stu needs to be brought back to life. I mean, it's as clear as day. It's not even like a debate. It's just kind of like, yeah. Because honestly, that's the trick. That's the rabbit that the magician can pull out of the hat now. There's nothing left for you to pull. You brought back Kirby, who, I didn't really remember her from Scream 4 at all. You brought back Roman and Nancy Loomis as cameos. You can't bring them back for real. You killed off Cotton. Could have had him be around for the whole fucking series. He is such an underrated character. I mean, but they've already pulled all the tricks. They had the Randy cameo in Scream 3. They don't have any of that stuff anymore. The last trick that they have is bringing back Stu. That is the absolute last thing that they can do before they have to go, okay, reboot or remake. Could you guys imagine a Scream remake? Ugh. I'd rather jump off a cliff. But anyways, and also, too, I was thinking about this. I was trying to circle on back to this before I conclude. You could have that Randy character joking about, how they got to bring back the fan favorite killer, Stu. They got to bring him back. They kind of did that in the opening of Scream 7, where they're kind of theorizing about whether or not he's alive. But you could have the new Randy talk about, like, modern horror movies, they're all about doing fan service. They're all about bringing back characters that never needed to be brought back. Case in point, blank in blank. And boom, That would be so perfect. Because then you're acknowledging it, you're making fun of it, and you're doing it at the same time. I guarantee all the fans would love it. They would say it's incredible, amazing. That would be so cool. So, yeah. And also, just another quick thing. Some people said that, like, there should be, like, a Gale Weathers-centered Scream movie. And I saw Kevin Williamson talked about the original plans he had for Scream 5 and 6. To be honest, they sounded kind of interesting. And they sounded kind of fun. And I guarantee they would have been better than what we got in Scream 5 and 6. The idea of watching Emma Roberts, who was Ghostface, trying to hunt down and kill another Ghostface, like, that is just so cool. And then to have a Gale Weathers themed movie, both of those ideas sound really, really cool. So, yeah. So anyways, please like this video and comment. What would you like to see in Scream 8? I hope the writers watch this video because they need some help. They need some guidance. So, yeah. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest videos like this, honest movie reviews. And if you'd like to support this channel, I'm talking a little too fast, ain't I? If you'd like to support this channel even further, please don't hesitate to head on over to our Patreon page. We got a ton of stuff over there and a ton of stuff coming soon, including an analysis of the original Scream, and it will bring you knowledge that will never be brought anywhere else by anyone else. Probably for a long time. Because I've never heard, I looked it up. No one else has talked about the things that I am going to talk about in my analysis for Scream. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.